Hi everyone, it's Alexandra here from Alexandra Plans, and today I'm going to give you yet another Plan With Me video for this month. I hope this one goes a lot more smoothly than the last one did. And I wanted to replicate for this coming week of June 27th to July 3rd a layout that I had done this past week. I had posted it on Instagram and on the Facebook group, and it got such a great response, and I got a lot of questions about the color pencils and the pens and things that I used. So I'm just gonna kind of like walk you through it. All right, the one that I put up yesterday was this, and a lot of you asked about how you got this this ombre gradient effect here. So I'm going to basically do the same layer again for this coming week. It's very easy. I'm going to walk through all the supplies that I use, and I'm going to do a different color scheme. This I had, it was like from a pink, I went to purple, then blues, and then like this like lime greenish color. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up from the green scheme, and for this week I'm going to kind of continue it and go through the greens, yellows, oranges to when I finally get to the red color. So a lot of you asked yesterday about what color pencils I use. What do I use to get that effect? I use my Prismacolor Premier colored pencils. Okay, this is the cover of it. Okay, it's I got the 48 count off of Amazon. It's really good, I think, starting point for color pencils. They have so many different colors, but I already took it a step further here, and I picked out the 8 colors that I'm going to use for this ombre effect here. I use 8 colors because, as you can see here, I have the 7 days of the week, and then the very last one is things that are going to come up for the week after. Okay, anything that I need to keep in mind for the upcoming week. So these are the colors that I chose. For those of you that have Prismacolors, these are the names of the colors that I'm going to use. It's going to go from spring green, chartreuse, canary yellow, Spanish orange, yellowed orange, orange, poppy red, and then crimson red. So this is the colors that I'm going to use along here and along my meals. And you'll notice too, when I go through my dailies, I do the same colors. I kind of like, you know, follow along that same color scheme as the days go on throughout the week as well. Okay, I really thought that this was very functional. I got this layout. I was inspired by Pretending to Plan on Instagram, her account, and she had a couple of really cool pages, but this one really stood out to me, so I decided to kind of do something along the lines myself. So aside from my Prismacolor Premier color pencils in these colors, the pens I'm going to be using are my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen in the M size. This is the thicker, or the thickest of the nibs. Okay, because for the boxes and stuff, I do like to have the bolder lines, especially here too. And then for the finer lines in between, or no, actually right in the days and stuff, I'm going to use my Stabilo black pen in a 0.4 nib. So I already have all the lines pre-drawn, okay? So one other thing that I want to, as far as before we get started here, the Prismacolor colored pencils come also with a Colorless Blender, and this helps with blending, and this is essential in trying to get that gradient look on all the boxes, and I'll show you what I mean when we get to it. So let us get started. Okay, so what I first decided to do, I had all the lines already pre-drawn to save us time here. I'm taking my Faber-Castell pen in the M size, and I'm just outlining the outer edges of the box here. For those of you that are wondering, if you have an A5 size journal, as far as the size of the box, I counted down 6 dots down, and I left 1 row of dots from the bottom, and then I measured the box accordingly, just to kind of give you an idea of how far down to go on the page and what have you, because when all is said and done, especially on the bigger box with the weekly overview, you're going to have 4 lines in each box for each day to write down things that you need to have in mind when you're transferring over the things from your weeklies over to your dailies. Okay, so it's nice and even, just so you have an idea. Now I am putting in the lines for my meals, again already pre-drawn. I like to record my meals and what I eat and stuff, because from week to week, if I do run out of ideas, I mean, I do have my recipe log, but I can see what I made on what days, and it's just easier for me. Then on the bottom, I have a little space designated for notes. This could also change if you wanted to put like a tracker, if you track your water intake or sleep or things like that. Okay, so then next I'm drawing in the lines. Like I said, it's about 3 dots in between each bigger box, so it gives you, when all is said and done, 4 lines to write in for each day, 4 tasks. And, you know, to keep it clean, neat, and functional, just to have it all spaced out evenly. It just really changes the look of your layout if everything is measured out nice and, you know, everything is symmetrical. Okay, and then these are the lines that are going to have the days, and then the spots for the bullet points. Okay, then I'm drawing in my arrow. Also, I get a lot of questions on, like, how do you know when to keep 1 week, especially if it's a transition week, like you have here from June into July, whichever month has the most days in it. So June has, in this week, there are 4 days in the month of June. I decide to keep it with my June layout. And then when I set up for July, the first week of July for me will be from July 4th to July 10th. So whichever week has the most days in whatever particular month, it's going to go in that month. Okay. I took my Faber-Castell and I drew out the days of the week for the calendar, and then I'm taking the finer Stabilo pen and writing in the days of the week, because it's a finer line, and I'm also putting in the days of the month. Just so I make sure everything fits nicely. Now I'm erasing all the pencil lines, okay? There are times where I don't pencil everything in. I just kind of go with it, but I do find that it is easier, especially if you're newer at making layouts and you do mess up. Hey, a pencil and eraser are your best friend. But yeah, for the purposes of the plan with me, I have everything all drawn out just to save time. Okay. Now we're gonna get to the fun part here. I'm drawing in, see all the lines for the particular tasks. Like I said, you could fit up to 4 tasks for each day in this layout, which I think is great. It's more than enough. Okay, then I'm going to write in the days using 3-letter abbreviations. And what you want to do is you want to center it. You don't want to put the letters too far on the edges, because that's what you're going to color in those sections. So you don't want to run the risk of when you're blending that the black ink might smudge. So you want to keep the outer edges of each box blank so that you have room to add in the color, which I'm doing now. So I'm going down each of the lines here. In this gradient color, and just doing the outer parts of each box. And I'm going to do the same thing with my meals. I'm going to leave space in the middle that is white so that when I do blend with my colorless blender, the fainter color will kind of work towards the middle, and hence you get that gradient effect. Okay. Then you take the colorless blender, and what the colorless blender does, it not only enriches the color that you already put down, okay, it makes it a little more bold and vibrant, but again, you can bring in the color towards the middle, and it gives you that ombre effect. And one suggestion is that if you're going from color to color, see how I have that little piece of paper? What I do is with the colorless blender, I will scrape off the color so that it doesn't, that the colorless blender picks up so that it doesn't go on to the next color and that like all the colors mix. You don't want that. So you want to clean out your colorless blender each time you go from one color to the next. And you'll also notice though when you go into the smaller boxes, like for the meal planning, it's going to be a little harder, but again, you want to save enough room in the middle. You want to leave it blank so that you do kind of get a gradient effect. It's a little more difficult in smaller boxes, but it still comes out, I think, great nonetheless. Okay. And then what I am doing, last but not least on here, is coloring in with a darker green. I think it's a apple green. Coloring in the arrow up on the top. And using my colorless blender and just smoothing out the color. And then last but not least, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Tombow dual brush marker and just highlight in the green the week that this layout is for. Just making sure everything is up to par. Okay, so that's for the weekly setup here, okay? And then what I normally do is I have my dailies next to it. Some people ask me, you know, would I put the weekly here and then put the dailies on this page? However you want to do it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I mean, I like to do it this way. If I do end up having a, like, see, like last week, for example, like my weekend would end here, I'm just going to use this for something else. Not a big deal for me. But if you want to start the weekly overview on this page and have your dailies go this way, that's perfectly fine by you. You know, whatever works. So basically, what I would do here with my M-size Pitt artist pen, I'm going to change it up and I'm going to continue doing it with I don't know, why not? I'd put my weather here and I would put in all of my to-dos, and what I would do then is I would take the first color, the spring green, and I would start that for Monday. Just do the outside, the outer edges, take my colorless blender, help smooth out the color. Try not to get it on the black ink because it might smudge a little bit. Just kind of like work the color all the way around. Okay, and then I would do it here too on the little arrow at the end. I would put my weather here and all of that good stuff. Okay, and then I would plan accordingly. Okay. So for example, I know that there's street cleaning on my street, so I have to make sure I park the car the right way. We're also announcing Doodle with Us in July next week. Okay, so that's just kind of an example. And then I would take this and I would transfer it over here to Monday, just to give you an example, because that's as far as I'll go right now. So I'll put a star next to okay. Okay, and I also know that I need to do a blog post for it. So that's just kind of an example of how I go about using this this layout. I love it. It's simple. There's a touch of color. It's super functional, and with the right materials, with the right color pencils, it's so easy to get this effect. And again, like I've always been saying, a touch of color, make it functional, make it fun, make it your own. And again, I drew this inspiration from Pretending to Plan on Instagram, and you know, you tweak it to fit your needs. So yeah, so this is just kind of an example of, you know, last week's, or this coming week as it's coming to an end. But again, I'm going to replicate it here. I just kind of carried on the rainbow colors, you know. I picked up where I left off, and I did it for next week. So again, I'm going to have all my supplies linked down below for the Prismacolor color pencils and the Faber-Castells and everything else that I used. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want me to do more Playing with Me's, I will, as I find cool layouts and I experiment on my own. And also to keep in mind, this is also a very good layout. I mean, because this is like a transition week between June to July, going from one month to the next. So again, it's a really neat layout. I mean, I like the functionality and the color of it. But again, if you want me to do more Playing with Me's, please let me know. I'll do them. And also, any questions, comment down below. Any comments, any concerns, and follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and also keep out for next Monday. We will announce, me and Christina from Christina 77 Star, we will announce the Doodle with Us in July challenge. So stay tuned for that. And next week I will show you my July setup. So until next time, guys, bye.